There's a small mistake that a lot of hikers make at the start of a steep climb, and most people don't notice it until their breathing is out of control. It feels like the hill is proving that you're out of shape, but a lot of time, you just started the climb in the wrong gear. And once you see the difference between these two steps, steep climbs start making a lot more sense. So I'm going to show you what the wrong gear looks like, what the lower gear looks like, and one small mistake that can still mess this up, even when you think you're doing it right. Steep climbs are still steep climbs, but there's a way to climb where you feel more in control, instead of constantly surging, stopping, and wondering why you're getting cooked so fast. First, let's look at what most of us do when the trail starts getting steep. You start out feeling good. You're walking fine on flatter trail. Your rhythm feels normal. Your breathing feels normal. Then the trail kicks up a bit. And without really thinking about it, you try to keep hiking the same way. You use the same stride, the same urgency, the same idea of, I'm just going to keep pushing through this and keep moving. But now, every step is asking more from you. Your foot lands farther out in front of you. You pull yourself up to that foot. Then you push hard through your leg. And after a couple minutes, your breathing starts getting rapid. Your legs start burning. You stop and then you look up and you ask yourself, why does this feel so hard already? That's the part that messes with people. It doesn't just feel physically hard. It makes you start wondering if you're even in good enough shape to be out there. But in my experience, the mistake usually starts before you even get tired. It starts with the step. When I say wrong gear, this is what I mean. It's taking a step that's too big for the grade of the hill that you're on. Your foot ends up landing way out ahead of you. And now your body has to move up to that foot. Your leg has to push harder. And instead of just walking up the hill, you're almost doing a little uphill lunge over and over again. I mean, don't get me wrong, that step can feel strong. It can even feel like you're making better progress. But on a long climb, the question isn't, can I do this step once? The question is, can I repeat this step for the next 10 minutes, 20 minutes, or even the next couple miles? That's when a strong-looking step can become an expensive step. Think about it like a bike. If you were riding a bike up a steep hill, you probably wouldn't stay in the hardest gear and just mash the pedals until your legs gave out. You'd shift down. Each pedal stroke would get easier, even if you moved a little slower. But a lot of times hikers do the opposite. The trail gets steeper, and we end up trying to muscle ourselves up. This is easier to see than it is to explain. Let's look at the same hill in two different ways. First, this is the wrong gear. You take a big step. Your foot lands far out, and then you have to push hard to catch up to that foot. Your breathing becomes a little fast, and before you know it, you're wiped. Now here is the lower gear. You take smaller steps, your foot stays closer underneath you. There's less drama in each step. You've got a smoother rhythm. It's the same heel, but a different gear. And that's really the whole idea. Low gear is not just about moving slowly. It's making each step cheaper. One of these versions asks for a big effort over and over again. The other spreads the work over smaller pieces. That's usually what helps your breathing keep from jumping too early. So let me explain this a bit. The first piece of this is step size. When the trail gets steep, shorten your step more than feels natural at first. Usually this is going to be more than your ego wants, because a normal stride can feel fine on flatter trail. But that same stride can get expensive fast once the grade changes. So instead of thinking, I need to get up this hill, try thinking, I need a step that I can repeat. And that's the shift. Repeatable, not impressive. If the step feels impressive, it's probably too expensive. And to be honest, low gear can feel almost too easy when you're at the bottom of the climb. But that's usually why it works. You're not trying to prove how hard you can push in the first 2 minutes. You're trying to find a gear that you can stay in. But step size is only one part of this. Where your foot lands matters too. When your foot lands way out in front of you, you have to move your whole body up to that foot. That usually means more pulling or pushing, and more strain on each step you take. When your foot lands closer underneath you, the step feels more stacked, more controlled, more repeatable. This here is reaching. This here is repeatable. And you're really gonna notice this on roots, rocks, and stairs that you come across on the trail. A lot of us automatically pick the biggest and obvious step. There's a rock up here, so we step all the way up to it. But sometimes there's a smaller option right beside it. That smaller option, it may not look as powerful, but over a long climb, it keeps you from turning the whole trail into a series of high steps. If you're carrying a backpack, those little choices add up over time. You don't need to analyze every single foot placement, because, I know that would get annoying quick. Just watch for the feeling of lunging, reaching, or having to push hard through every step. If you feel that, your gear's probably too high. Shorten your step, bring the foot closer underneath you, and make it repeatable. And the easiest way to know that your gear is still too high is not your watch. It's actually your breathing. Your breathing is actually one of the best feedback tools you have on a climb. If your breathing starts to get a little too hard in the first couple minutes, that's feedback. It doesn't mean that you failed. It doesn't mean that you're weak. It usually just means that the gear is still too high. So when your breathing starts getting away from you, don't wait until you're completely wasted. Shift down earlier, shorten your step, calm the rhythm, and let the climb come to you a little bit. A good low gear doesn't mean that the climb becomes easy. It means that the climb becomes controlled. And there's a big difference in that. One check I like to do when I'm out is to test if I can still talk in short sentences. It doesn't need to be a full conversation, but if I can't say a few words without gasping, I'm probably pushing too hard for the climb. And for backpacking, that matters, because you're not trying to get up just one hill. You've still got the rest of the day. You've still got tomorrow. So the goal is not to empty the tank just because the trail got steep. The goal is to find a gear that keeps you moving. But there's a way that people mess this up, even if they understand the step. They may shorten the stride, but they keep the urgency. You can shorten your steps and still be in too high of a gear if you rush yourself too much. Low gear is not just smaller steps. It's smaller steps with a calmer rhythm. That's the part that people miss. They keep trying to hurry the hill, and then they wonder why it still feels awful. Another mistake is waiting too long to shift down. If you wait until you're already exhausted, the lower gear can still help. But now you're trying to recover while you're climbing. So it works better when you use it earlier, almost before you think you need it. And that's hard to do, because earlier in the climb you still feel good. But that's exactly when you want to be smart. And then there's the rock step mistake that we talked about. Anytime the trail gives you a high step, ask yourself if there's a smaller option. There may not always be one. Sometimes you have to take the step the trail gives you. But a lot of times there's a smaller step right beside it. And over a long climb, those small choices add up. So here's the simple way that I would practice this on your next hike. Find a normal steep climb where your breathing usually spikes. For 5 minutes, make the goal controlled breathing, not speed. Shorten your steps more than feels natural. Keep your feet landing closer underneath you. And if your breathing starts jumping fast, don't treat that like a failure. Treat it like feedback. And shift down again. The test is not whether or not you can climb fast. The test is to find a gear that you can stay in. And I think what you'll notice is that the climb may still be hard, but it feels less like a fight. You're not constantly surging, stopping, surging, and stopping. You're moving in a way that your body can keep repeating. And for backpacking, that's a big deal, because good hiking is not always about the strongest step. A lot of times it's about the next 100 steps. Now don't get me wrong, fitness does still matter. Training definitely helps as well. A reasonable pack weight helps, but fitness doesn't fix every inefficient step. So before you decide you're just bad at climbing, it's worth understanding how you're climbing. And if you're new to backpacking, I think this is one of those lessons that can really help. Not because it makes climbs easy, but because it gives you permission to stop trying to prove something to the hill. You don't have to attack every climb. You don't have to turn every steep section into a test of whether you belong out here. You can simply shift down. You can move smaller. You can keep your breathing under control. and you can climb in a way that lets you keep going. If this kind of practical backpacking advice is helpful, that's what I try to do here on Your Trail Buddy. Simple trail lessons that make hiking and backpacking feel a little more manageable. So if you want more than that, hit that subscribe button. And the next time you hit a steep climb, just try this for 5 minutes. Don't worry about being fast. Don't worry about looking impressive. Just ask yourself, can I find a gear I can stay in? Because good uphill hiking is not proving how hard you can push for 2 minutes. It's finding a gear that you can stay in all the way to the top. As always, guys, I hope this was useful to you, and hopefully I see you out on the trail.